Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto. This is a JZA70 Toyota Supra. The JZA70 version of this has the 1JZ twin turbo engine, and this is the engine that North America didn't get. So we bought this one from auction for export to the USA. It's an automatic transmission one, but has very low mileage at under 70,000 kilometers, and that's kilometers, not miles. This is probably maybe one of, if not the best JZA70s in terms of condition that I have seen. Although it has been in an accident, it's not the same as a salvage title vehicle. The accident damage is listed on the auction sheet. I'm going to get to that in a second. 1JZ, often known as the little brother to the 2J, known very well in drifting circles for being a reliable, well-performing, and excellent engine in terms of modifications. We got a custom intake pipe here. Custom cool, colorful welds. That's really interesting. And then, I don't know which brand that is. It has an HKS little bit on here, but I think this is probably an Apex filter. Okay, like most 1J engines, it runs really well, no issues. And with 60,000 kilometers, it's still got a lot going for it. Now I'm gonna shut the engine off because although this one has stock exhaust, it is still kind of loud. And stock exhaust is so lovely to see on a car like this because almost all of them will have something aftermarket. And exhaust is usually one of the first things to change. Oh, and I'm gonna come back to the interior, but these seats, these are the original seats in this. Take a look, the back ones match. They did that in the Supra, in the Celica, and in the 4Runner, or as it's known here, the Hilux Surf. Very cool Toyota. Yeah, the white with the aftermarket wheels, those are, what brand are those? Work wheels? It's a great looking car. And I got the headlights popped up because I love me some headlights that pop up. Alright, so gonna lower the hood here. The twin turbos are all under heat shields. You can't really see that, it's a bit of a shame. But yeah, this is one of the world's best engines, especially if you get a chance to drive it. You know, it's cool on the internet, but it's way cooler when you actually get a chance to drive it. Okay, so let's take a look at the auction inspection sheet, and I'll translate that for you real quickly here. So 1990 Supra GT Twin Turbo R is the name of the JZA70. Okay, it's an auction grade R with an interior B. 64,310 kilometers on there. That's authentic mileage. That's really, really low for a Supra because people generally didn't keep these as garage queens here in Japan. They drove them quite a bit. And so having a low mileage one now that it's over 25 years old, that's pretty remarkable. Automatic transmission, and here's my feeling about the automatic transmission is most people are going to want the manual. Of course, the manuals cost a lot more. But this is quite a nice car if you're going to do a 90s Japanese car for an automatic transmission. The style of the car is excellent. It's a Grand Tourer car. It's meant to be sporty, but more comfortable than a strict sports car. And the automatic these days kind of matches that kind of feeling. A lot of the performance cars nowadays come in as only automatics as well, so the market's kind of used to that by now. This is authentic mileage, it says. And then the auction sheet's going to tell you if it's inauthentic mileage, otherwise you can return it to the auction. Okay, so aftermarket air filter, aftermarket steering wheel, aftermarket wheels, and Recaro seats. And once again, those are stock Recaro seats. I'm just going to pull this backwards. It's quite windy today, so I don't want it to blow away while I'm reading it. Okay, so it's been in a front and rear end accident, as it says here, including the replacement of this fender, the replacement of the hood, and then this one has been repainted. There's also a repainted section here, and then there's a dent over here. Now looking at the body, there's almost no errors anywhere on the body that's visible. It is close to 100% body. This U3, that's not very visible because it's underneath. Somebody jacked up the car, that's all it is. Can you see that? I don't know if you can, it's right here. Can't see it at all from the outside. And then the A2 on the front bumper, this is the only visible thing that you can see, it's right here. And so, it is a small damage. It does stand out quite a bit because of where it is, but the whole rest of the body is all pretty much perfect. It's fantastic. And more on that after I translate everything on here. Okay. Now, I haven't had a chance to drive the car. I can drive the car after shooting this report. It says that the boost doesn't work properly in the car. Now, in my experience, when I've seen this, it has sometimes been because the vehicle's electronics were in the safety mode. And so clearing the computer may solve that problem, or changing something like a sensor here or there may change it. I'm going to take it for a drive and then see what I think about it after I shoot this. Interior is slightly dirty. It's actually really, really clean. Dashboard comes up, and it's less than most of the time. You can see right here, it's a little bit deformed from heat. 90s Japanese dashboards do that a lot. This one very, very little compared to regular. So here's the accident damage stuff. So the core support has been replaced. The right front side member and the right front inner panel both have been dented, and basically they have been hit in an accident and then moved back into regular position, and the right front inner panel as well dented. That's fairly minor, I would say. As far as accidents go, I would consider this maybe a 3.5 or 4 out of 10, and definitely something that wouldn't be concerning for me. And if you take a look at all of the panels here, run your finger along the lines, there's nothing that really shows that the vehicle's been in an accident. So to me, this isn't something that I'd be worried about. Okay, door mirrors are scratched, various scratches and dents, all aftermarket intercooler and aftermarket suspension. So the seller didn't mention those things. It is true. The intercooler you can't see very well because it's all the stock, but if you look in here, you can kind of see. There it is, aftermarket intercooler. That's nice, it's a really big one too. And then what was that other one? Aftermarket suspension. So you can see that the car is lower than stock, but not slammed down on the ground. And this height, I think, matches the car quite nicely. Especially with this classic design wheels. A wheel like this would have been the type of wheel somebody would have got on this car when it was a brand new car, and they wanted to go for something aftermarket. Okay, so that's basically yes. Oh, spare tire's missing, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. We'll do it once around here, and then I'll point out one thing that was missed on the auction sheet, which I'm angry at the auction for, but for a car that's this old, it has to do with rust. With a car that's this old, they won't guarantee any of the rust on it. And I'd say that the auction is quite good at noticing everything, but they're not going to notice everything on every single car, and so I would say maybe about 1 in 10 has something bad that I don't like, that I think the auction should have caught. So that's about 10% of the time. But then again, about 10% of the time, or maybe even 15% of the time, there's some good things. For example, we bought a Supra for somebody, and the seller thought it was stock, and it was dynoed at 450 horsepower. And so to that buyer, it was very cool to have that. Okay, so good condition front bumper, except for that one corner. The pop-up headlights obviously work. Very long hood, it goes on forever. Great looking side panels here. And then here's the rust on the door. Now the good thing is these doors, as far as I know, are the same for North American ones. So if you wanted to replace the door, or if you wanted to just repair this section here, because of this location, where it is sort of tucked under there. Like if there is any color match problems, it's not going to be that visible. It's one of the parts of the car that nobody really looks at. Look at these. Supra. That's very cool. That kind of thing, you wouldn't be able to buy something like that ever. You just have to buy a car with it on it, and be the only person in all of the USA that has that, because I believe that these were only for the Japanese market, because those weren't popular in the States until kind of the mid-90s, but in Japan they were popular from the 70s. Okay, so we got some scratches on the back spoiler here, some paint damage. Okay, and 2.5 twin turbo R. Now, people who are smarter than me might be able to tell if the taillights are different from the US ones. I've been in here in Japan for so long that I don't know, but I believe that these ones here were only available on the twin turbo R and only available in Japan, but I could be wrong. I also don't know, maybe somebody else knows this. The white logo on here, was that a thing, or did they customize their logo? I don't know. Okay, so most of the trim pieces are pretty good. This one here has the nozzle on the top taken off, and there's like some scratches around that. And then the rear wiper has also been removed. That's where it would have been attached to. Okay, onto the interior here. And I'll just pull this key out. You'll notice it's incredibly clean in here and smells so nice. So some of the world's longest doors here, especially maybe the world's longest compared to how tall that they are. It's funny. That one's not all the way out, so you can't tell, but it's like longer than a meter long. Maybe 1.5 meters. Okay. The seats are quite hard compared to your standard seats. And I think a lot of people would like a hard seat. I can't actually remember what the Mark III Supra seats feel like that aren't the Recaro ones. And then you got to be careful with these seats because they're prone to wearing out on the outside. You can see this one here doesn't have any wear there. It doesn't have any wear there. Somebody put a stupid steering wheel on it. I'm sorry if you like the steering wheel, it says drifting on it, but to me this just says I'm 14 years old. So if it were me, I would get a different steering wheel. And then somebody who's 14 years old might want to spend money on this one. Okay, now the steering wheel's in a low position. This is my driving height here. The tilting section doesn't work. I mean it does, but it doesn't. Have a look. It goes up, but it doesn't ratchet into any of the settings except for the very bottom one. I bet you the designers at Momo are like, I know accounting says a steering wheel like this is going to sell, but I really don't want to make that steering wheel. I mean, it's a good steering wheel. It just bothers me it says drifting on it, especially on a car that obviously you're not going to go drifting in. There you go, 404 kilometers at the time of shooting this. And I really like the dashboard on this. I really like how you got your regular gauges here, and then you got extra gauges over there. Like the 70s and 80s were all about the gauges, and the Supra kind of stuck with that. AC works, and this is climate control AC. I'm not sure if the US ones got this, but during this era, a lot of times the US wouldn't get the climate control, whereas Japan would. So you can set this to auto, and then you set your temperature here. Okay, we got an aftermarket Navi screen there. It's kind of hiding behind the automatic transmission knob, and then this is a bit loose. Okay, e-brake works. You got switches here for this. I don't know why you can turn them on individually, but you can. And then the warp in the dashboard you can kind of see right there. Okay. You can put coins here, Japanese size ones, which is I guess 100 yen or $1 coin would be about the same size as a quarter. So you can put some quarters in there if you want, but I guess these days nobody has a point. There's no reason to do that. Now to get into the back, you get lots of room because the doors are so big. You can flip these forward. Very, very easy to get into the back. And a reasonable amount of space in the back for adults for this type of car. You have to do the whole knees on the outside thing though. Cool. I love 80s cars. Are these floor mats stock? I don't know. There's oddly a bath mat for the driver's side floor mat, which is a bit of a pain because the Japanese one would have a different floor mat than the USDM one because the pedals. This is not a real floor mat. This is a bath mat. Kind of funny. Okay, into the trunk. And somebody did a rad modification to the trunk. Take a look. Yeah, leopard print. It's actually a board. There's usually some like particle board that's really flimsy and easy to break. But this one here has been changed to like an actual plywood. And it's sturdy and well wrapped. Take a look. Ta-da! Customized. There you go. So clean and nice in here. Back seats can flip down, and there's no damage to the tops of these. A lot of times that will rip very easily because it'll get sun damage through the window and then will become brittle, and as soon as you touch it, it'll fall apart. Okay, so that is going to be it for this Supra. My S15 came back from the paint shop. I'm happy about that. And there we go. Ta-da Supra. 15-minute video. That's longer than it should be. Okay, well, if you made it this far, then give yourself a pat on the back because you're pretty awesome. No JDM boy on the bike.
Yes, haha, I gotcha.
All right, that'll be the end of the video. Thank you for watching, everyone, and have a nice day.